Understanding God has always been one of humanity's greatest quests. For centuries, philosophers, scientists, and spiritual teachers have tried to translate the divine into words, symbols, or theories. Yet, the more we attempt to define God, the more he seems to slip through the cracks of our understanding. That's because God is not a concept to be dissected, but an experience to be lived. In today's journey, we are going to explore this mystery with an open heart and an open mind. We'll walk through different perspectives, share practical examples, and most importantly, reveal how the search for God can be both incredibly profound and surprisingly simple. 1. The search for God is an illusory effort. So many people treat God as a riddle to be solved. They devour books, collect theories, and debate endlessly. But what they gather is only information about God, not the living presence of God. It's like someone who reads cookbooks every day, but never steps into the kitchen. They know the ingredients. They memorize the recipes, but they never taste a meal. In real life, we do this all the time. We mistake knowledge for experience. And in the end, words without experience are like maps without journeys. They show directions, but they never let you feel the road under your feet. 2. The concept of the all, the universe as a mental creation. The Kybalion teaches, the all is mind, the universe is mental. At first, this may sound abstract, but it holds a profound key. Everything that exists is a result of an infinite consciousness. The entire universe is like a thought inside the divine mind. Think of it like a dream. When you dream, that world feels absolutely real. Landscapes, characters, emotions. But at its core, it's all the creation of your mind. Many ancient sages say, this is how reality itself works. We are part of the dream of God, and we catch glimpses of this in our own daily lives. Notice how thoughts shape experience. Someone who constantly repeats, "Nothing ever works out for me," begins to see obstacles everywhere. Meanwhile, a person who cultivates faith and confidence starts to encounter doors opening where walls once stood. 3. God is not outside but within. For centuries, many traditions portrayed God as a being outside of us, seated on a throne in the sky, far away from human struggles. But the divine essence is not distant. It is here. It is within. You can sense it in the simplest of moments. When your mind falls silent and a wave of peace arises for no reason. When intuition whispers guidance without warning. Or when gratitude overwhelms you so deeply that it feels as if it came from beyond yourself. These are not coincidences. They are glimpses of God within. And this is why turning inward is so powerful. A single minute of conscious breathing can reveal more of the divine than a lifetime of intellectual theories. For the role of the ego, barrier and projection. The ego gives us identity, but also colors our view of God. We project onto him our own fears, judgments, and emotions. And so we imagine a God who punishes, gets angry, or plays favorites, when in truth, these are shadows of our own inner struggles. Take an example. Someone loses their job and immediately thinks, "I'm being punished by God." But what really happened? Life unfolded. Circumstances shifted. The punishment was simply the ego's story, not the divine truth. The ego is like a lens, and every lens can distort. Recognizing this doesn't mean we must destroy the ego, only that we must see it for what it is, instead of confusing its stories with God's voice. 5. True understanding comes from experience. Studying God is like studying sheet music. You can learn the notes, the scales, the symbols, but the music only comes alive when you actually play. The same is true in spirituality. Books can inspire, ideas can point the way, But only experience, meditation, contemplation, love, and action brings real understanding. Serving someone selflessly, watching a sunset in silence, or simply sitting still in deep presence. These are the moments where knowledge transforms into wisdom. 6. Joseph Murphy's vision. God as an experience. Joseph Murphy was clear. God is not a person, not a force, not even a concept. God is an experience. Imagine this. You're walking at sunset, and suddenly an overwhelming sense of peace floods your heart. You can't explain it, but you feel safe, connected, whole. That is not theory. That is God as experience. Murphy often suggested that when we quiet the mind and imagine ourselves surrounded by divine love, our entire being responds. The breath softens, the body relaxes, and something deeper awakens. That's already a meeting with God. 7. The bridge between science and spirituality. Albert Einstein once said, "The laws of nature are the thoughts of God." What a beautiful bridge between two worlds that many believe are opposites, science and spirituality. A scientist looking through a telescope or decoding DNA is, in a way, reading the divine handwriting. Science translates mystery into formulas. Spirituality translates the same mystery into silence, awe, and worship. Both are simply different languages pointing to the same reality. 8. The power of focus in creation. Whatever we observe with attention expands in our experience. Focus is like a spotlight. It makes what we choose to see grow brighter. This is practical and visible in daily life. People who focus constantly on problems seem to attract more problems. But those who place their attention on solutions, even small ones, start to find opportunities they never noticed before. Try this. Choose an intention, such as cultivating inner peace. For 5 minutes a day, visualize yourself living from that peace. With time, your choices, your reactions, and even your environment will begin to align with that vision. 9. God is perceived in silence and stillness. An agitated mind is like a stormy lake. Nothing can be reflected clearly, but when the waters become still, the reflection appears. This is why silence is sacred. It is in stillness that we catch a glimpse of the divine presence. It doesn't require hours of meditation. Sometimes 2 quiet minutes before bed, simply breathing and letting go, are enough to feel a soft, unmistakable presence arise. 10. The positive role of the ego, integration, not elimination. It's easy to think of the ego as the enemy of spirituality, but the ego also serves a purpose. It gives us individuality, the ability to dream, to create, to act. The problem arises only when we mistake the ego for the whole of who we are. It's like confusing a tool with the masterpiece it was meant to create. A practical exercise. Notice during your day when your choices are driven by fear, competition, or vanity. Instead of criticizing yourself, just say, "That's the ego speaking." That awareness alone creates space for a higher choice to emerge. 11. Purpose, aligning with the essence. Spirituality doesn't mean escaping the world. It means living daily life aligned with our deepest essence. This alignment shows up in very practical ways. Choosing kindness over conflict, prioritizing meaning over mere appearance, or acting with love even in the smallest of interactions. One helpful practice is to look at your to-do list each morning and ask, which of these tasks expresses who I truly am? That simple question can transform ordinary actions into expressions of the divine. 12. Neville Goddard's practices. Neville Goddard taught that imagination and feeling are powerful spiritual tools. By vividly imagining and emotionally experiencing a desired state, we imprint it into the subconscious, and gradually, it shapes our outer reality. For connecting with God, Neville suggested imagining simple scenes: being embraced by divine love, standing in a radiant light, or feeling overwhelming gratitude. By doing this before sleep, the subconscious carries that state into the night, reshaping our inner world and, eventually, the outer one. 13. Wholeness already exists within us. One of humanity's greatest illusions is believing we are incomplete, always searching outside for what we already carry inside. The truth is that divine essence is already present. We are not broken pieces trying to become whole. We are wholeness itself, learning to recognize it. Gratitude is a powerful way to touch this truth. Each day, write down 5 things you're grateful for. This simple practice shifts focus from what's missing to what's already abundant. Over time, you'll realize you were never lacking. 14. Balancing spirituality with everyday life. Seeking God does not mean abandoning responsibilities. It means infusing daily life with presence and awareness. You can turn the simplest moments into sacred practices. Taking 3 conscious breaths before sending an important message, pausing for a minute of silence upon waking, or offering a word of gratitude before sleep. These small acts weave the spiritual into the ordinary until life itself becomes a temple. 15. The final revelation. I am. At the end of every spiritual path lies one profound realization: the awareness of being. The simple, silent knowing, I am. This is not the ego saying, I am important. It is the soul recognizing, I exist, I live, I am. That awareness alone is the doorway to God. Close your eyes for a moment and repeat inwardly, I am. Don't add anything else. Don't try to explain it. Just feel it. This is the divine in its purest simplicity. Conclusion. The search for God is not about collecting answers, but about awakening to the living experience of the present moment. God is not distant. He is not hidden. He is revealed in silence and awareness, and in love expressed through our daily choices. When we learn to observe the ego without being enslaved by it, to align our actions with our essence, and to cultivate presence in every moment, the divine stops being a theory. It becomes a living reality. And perhaps the greatest discovery of all is this: God is not something to be understood. God is something to be lived. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to breathe it in. And if you feel called to dive deeper into reflections like this, join us here on The Healing Vibe. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and become part of a community dedicated to inner growth, spiritual wisdom, and the healing journey of the soul. Because at The Healing Vibe, we don't just talk about God, we learn to experience Him together.